Assalamu alaikum dear students. I'm your teacher Ms. Sadia Shahzad and I'm here with question number 4, the most important and the one having the highest percentage. So as we have been doing a 0457/11 variant from May June 2023. So I'm going to continue with the same thing since we are very well aware of the source as it has been analyzed from question number 1 to 3 so far. So moving on to question number 4. So these are all the sources. The most important thing is question number 4, that you need to read it and understand what it requires. Your government wants to reduce energy poverty. The following actions are being considered: increasing access to electricity through national projects, investing in microgrids producing renewable energy, teaching local people about energy efficiency. So these are three actions. You need to choose one only. As it states now, which one of these actions would you recommend to the government and why? So you need to be very sure that you talk about only one. In question number 3C, you had to talk about both the arguments from from source 4. But here you need to be very sure that you do not make this blunder, because I've seen many students losing marks as they start analyzing all three of the actions. Please do not do this. It states very clearly that which one of these actions. Can you see one ONE written in bold? You need to choose just one action and stick to that and forget the other two. So the next thing is that you need to answer it in four things that it is requiring. The first thing is to state your recommendation. The next is to give reasons and evidence to support your choice. The third thing is to use the material in the source and or any of your own ideas. So this is only required if there isn't ample information in the source, which is very unlikely. So you may add to it, but it's suggested that you use the text at the max. Where your analysis comes, this would suffice there. And the last part says consider different arguments and perspectives. So two arguments are already present there, and one argument is your own that is continuing where your analysis is coming. So if any other is required, we'll take it from there. So the first part, state your recommendation. So in order to reduce energy poverty, the government should invest in microgrids producing renewable energy because working on a small scale would make a bigger impact. So if you can see that I've taken the first statement of the question that says that the government is looking to reduce energy poverty, and I've stated my um, choice along with it, that the government should invest in microgrids producing renewable energy. And why should that be done? Because working on small scale would make a bigger impact. Now this is my own opinion that I've come up with. Now this is a complete answer to the first point where it states state your recommendation. Moving on. People are suffering on a large scale to gain basic benefits that depend upon energy. Energy poverty has affected almost a billion people who do not have access to modern energy technology, as stated in source 2. Since people lack this, they have to use alternate methods like heating firewood for cooking. Communication using different gadgets is difficult in certain areas that impacts the education sector as well. Teachers cannot use modern methods, and lack of energy causes the students to suffer by not having access. This also adds to slowing down development in the economic sector. Hence, it is ideal that microgrids are set up to facilitate at a smaller scale to produce renewable energy. So, if you see the first sentence, people are suffering on a large scale to gain basic benefits that depend upon energy, is a point that I have raised. Now, to back up this point, I've used an evidence from source 2. Furthermore, I have then analyzed the statement where I've used how and why is this affecting. And then at the end, I have linked my analysis back to the main statement, which was that renewable energy production should be done by investing in microgrids to produce renewable energy. Sorry. So this is how it is done. So point, evidence, analysis, and then link. Moving on to the next point. It is important that something is done to cater the industrial sector of developing nations, which will also support the people living nearby, as stated in source 3. Developed industrial nations use renewable technology, sun and wind, to produce cheaper sustainable energy. By avoiding the use of fossil fuels, they reduce the addition to global emissions, yet grow economically. If small scale microgrids are set up by local industries, it would also support the locals living around the area alongside a smooth run of the industries, leading to a better economical cycle. This may seem like a vested interest of the industries, yet it would impact the locals and the country on a national level in a positive way by producing renewable energy. It would also help in using cleaner form of energy to avoid growing climate change issue across the globe. So you can see that I've raised a point, then I've backed it up with evidence, and I've analyzed it, and I've used the option of vested interest with it. And please also focus on it that where I've given the evidence is barely just a sentence or a chunk. The rest I have used my own words a little bit, where as the analysis is concerned, I've used the how and why in my own words. Please avoid picking up complete chunks and paragraphs and pasting them, copying and pasting them. Please do not do that, as that is not the answer that the examiner is looking for. So please use this option where it says point, evidence, analysis, and link, which can be used by the acronym of PEAL as well. PEAL, point, evidence, analysis, and link, as I am sharing point by point over here. Moving on to the next point. It is quite difficult to plan and coordinate improvements on a large scale due to potential conflict of interest among different government sectors. This is another point. As stated by Hua in source 4, that the issue is so large that governments must act now. So I've just used this chunk. Yet she believes that it is only possible by the government sector to manage this issue. It is not easy for people on personal or small scale to handle this issue. She also refers to a local newspaper that focuses on this point that the governments need to manage all this. However, developing nations cannot afford this, which impacts them at a huge scale at each level from personal to national level. Can you see the range of impact that I'm using? It is ideal that influence of individuals and groups can help support the government by working on small scale projects, providing microgrids to local businesses to see the impact. This would produce renewable energy costing less on the pocket. Another perspective. Investing on local levels would help supporting the governments, as stated by Jin in Source 4, that it is quicker and easier to install small scale technologies. He has further backed his point by the World Bank's suggestion that energy poverty is best solved at the local level. He has also quoted the statistical evidence of a charity in India that has installed microgrids powering more than 150 villages. See how I have summarized the point? By providing power and technology through microgrids to smaller areas. The smaller industry would develop, leading to the focus of the government to provide energy to the bigger industry, which would begin a cycle of development, eventually supporting the government to work on the provision of microgrids at a local level as well. Please note how the analysis is being done. Government should invest in local or small scale investors by delegating them areas. This would help them serve the nation on a large scale. Most small scale investors could be forced to set up their own microgrids to run their industry. This would eventually help in setting up microgrids on a large scale producing renewable energy. So the same format is being used: point, evidence, analysis, and then linking it back to the main point. Now, the conclusion. This is very important. On the whole, it has to be a it has to be a systemic yet strategic setup by the government to gradually set up microgrids across the country to gain maximum benefit. A 10-year plan would help them reach a targeted goal, which would help them at a national level. This would also help in reducing carbon emissions, thus bringing down the global warming impact. So this is where the complete thing is being linked, that why have I chosen this point. Now please let's take a look at the pro tips. So the first thing is to state your point, back it up with evidence from the text, analyze it using how and why it should be done, link it back to the main point, share the range of impact which is nationally or globally, point out the vested interest or biasness, etc., and ensure stating 2 to 3 developed points along with the arguments where at least two perspectives from source 4. So it is important that you keep all this in mind, especially the pro tips. And that's it from my end. I wish you all the best. And I'm going to be uploading more videos focusing on certain topics. So that's it from here. Take care. All the best.